Hi, I'm Dr. Jeffrey Fannin, and this is part two of preparing your vessel. So go ahead, Pamela, take it away.
Okay, well, we were talking in part one about these different type of drinks rebuilt every cell of your body and have more electrical charge and current. It's durable. And so if you don't have enough electricity in your body, well, you croak. I mean, that's why they got those paddles to turn you, you wake back up.
Yeah.
Right? Well,
okay, well, that's
extreme.
enough for this episode.
Okay, we laugh all the time, folks, so just
Right.
get used to it, okay? Brace yourself. All right. One of the things that's important for people to know is, I mean, sometimes people just can't digest all of this. Like we were talking about raw fats to build your body, and sometimes people can't digest them properly. So for goodness sakes, folks, take some super digestive enzymes by now. And I'm not getting paid for this, okay? So I'm just telling you, take these enzymes because they will help you digest fats, your proteins, and your carbohydrates. So it's got it all covered for you. All right. And you're going to be a happy camper because of that. It's really good. If you don't have proper digestion, your digestive areas, let me just adjust this a little bit. Your digestive areas actually in your gut creates your brain health, your brain chemistry.
You bet. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't have it, then you're not feeling so great, and your elevator doesn't always make it to the top. And
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. You probably know the answer to this, so I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here. Some people are lactose intolerant, and so when you're talking about putting these, half and half or creams and things that are in there, that might be very disturbing to some people. Um, what would you recommend?
well, if you're actually using cream, which is the best, the raw cream, it doesn't have the sugar in it.
Well, right, but not everybody can get to that. My dairy herd won't fit in the backyard. So,
What's wrong with that picture,
yeah.
Jeff? Come on, I thought I saw that cow grazing in your backyard. No, I mean, really, truly, we're so blessed these days to be able to reach out, get that for us. The cream itself, the half and half itself can be not even used. You don't even have to use that, but you can use your coconut milk and your coconut creams and things like that. You can do that. Um, so
What
that's
about
just
the milk, the lactate milk for people who are lactose intolerant? Will that work in?
We're not using milks. We're using fats here.
Okay,
We're using
so
fats.
that's the difference. Using something with the fats in them, so those things have the fats taken out. So
Right.
you're better off to drink those because of your brain and your body health, and also take the enzymes that are necessary in order to get that back into balance. If you're finding some intolerance or you have some inflammation that's going on in the body, or you're not
Right.
taking in enough omega-3s. So my point is that you may have to do a little bit of balancing, that you may be so far out of balance, that some of these things need to take place.
Well, and then we're going to introduce you to the AO scanner. And the AO scanner, we
Right.
can scan somebody any place in the world
Right.
and give real-time information. We're not saying we're healing you. We understand that this scanner is to gather information, but it's like taking a real-time blood test or a CT scan or an MRI and other things. It gives tremendous information for you, tremendous information, and we can actually email it to you.
Yeah.
So we set you all up, and it's like a radio signal that's dialed in specifically for you.
Yeah, we'll be having some podcasts on that very specifically and how and why it works. And, so I'm working with a number of doctors and nurses and other people who understand the biochemistry and the physics and
Right.
the physiology of all of this. And
Right.
they are amazed, and then when we look at the quantum physics side of this, and the more I looked into it, the more I was amazed at how this was done and put together. This was actually put together by a bunch of scientists who were trying to deal with the health of cosmonauts and astronauts in space. We talked about that in one of the other segments, But we'll talk more about these
Right.
scanners and the different elements of those scan in different podcasts. But
Right.
just know there are things out there that can help you a lot.
Well, and this is the Solex. The Solex. If you looked on solexnation.com, they have tremendous amount of YouTube information on that. So if this is something that you're interested in, this whole thing that we're sharing with you right now is specifically quantum physics. It is
Right.
absolutely quantum physics. Einstein said the future of healing is vibrational. The future of medicine is what he said is vibrational. And this is it. This is actually it. And I had introduced that to you, Jeff, knowing that you would absolutely love this information, and you've seen the
Yeah.
value of it.
And I was very skeptical, and it took you an entire 5 minutes to convince me. I
Well,
mean, as
I
soon as
had
you
to vet it.
started talking about that, I said, "Okay, I got to have one of those right now."
Yeah, yeah,
And so I can't tell you how powerful it was. But you kept saying, "We'll vet this. You need to vet this, and make sure." And
right.
with most everything, I do that anyway. And
Yeah,
so
I
the more
couldn't.
I learned, the more impressed I was. And then when I started working with people using the scanner and looking at some of the results, and we'll do another podcast and I'll show you some of the results and the things that I did, because as a scientist, not only was I very interested in doing that, but I was astounded at the results and what
Right,
it actually does in real time. So we'll
right.
talk more about that on another session.
Exactly. And I had to vet it too. I mean, there's no way I would share it with anyone until I first vetted it. And I found it really unusual that MS that I started experiencing at 27, and I had been able to put it into remission from the powerful laws that I know, came out of remission. And I'm like, what's with this? And the Lord says, well, you said you'd like to vet it, wouldn't you? So I did. And it's back, the MS is back in remission again. So it's like, whoa, yay.
Yeah.
I'm happy for that. All right. So I'd like to share another drink with you today. And that drink is utilizing something that you can easily be able to get. But wow, does it ever drain out problems that you can have from just basically having your body too inflamed, which can also mean inflaming your brain, which can cause you to be irritable and cranky and rare, and just miserable with allergies and other things as well. And wow, I was taught about doing this, and it works beautifully. I mean, really, really beautifully.
Right.
It was springtime here right now. It's just the end of springtime, starting out with summer, and everything blooming. And oh man, I was dragging around. I was absolutely miserable. I was to learn about this, and that's why they brought it to the forefront for me. And I decided, well, this would be great, too much of a secret for me to keep to myself. I'd rather share it with others instead. And it's so simple. And what I do is I just get turmeric powder, and I put it in a saucepan, a cup of it in a saucepan with a quart of water, and I let it simmer for 15 minutes. Turmeric is a root type of herb, and it's important that you cook it, that you simmer it, so that your tummy can handle it. Otherwise, it's going to be like, oh, okay, I'm having a problem here.
Yeah,
So
turmeric has been used in Ayurvedic medicine for thousands of years, and we here in our Western civilization, we're just beginning to learn about this. So pay attention, people.
yeah, yeah. So what I do is I cook it up and I put it in a quart jar, and it becomes like a paste. So because it's pretty thick, and I take out like a heaping tablespoon. You can ease into this, folks. Don't feel like you got to take a heaping tablespoon to begin with, but I do. And I'll put that in a quart jar of water. Okay, I'll put it in a quart jar of water, and I'll put in about a tablespoon of the honey that's in your area. If you do that, that honey is composed of all these components to help you get rid of your allergic responses to things. And because I'm in the desert in Arizona, this is desert mesquite honey. It's wild honey, and it's from this area, but it also has components of other trees and pollens and stuff in it. I put that in there, and I add black pepper. And this is doTERRA black pepper. If you guys would like to be able to get on doTERRA, we're happy to help you with that so you can be able to get these components. But this black pepper is synergistically related with the turmeric so that you can be able to assimilate. That's why the black pepper is so important. And I put about 5 drops to 10 drops of that in, stir it up, and I just sip on it, that quart, because I'm always hydrating myself. Oh my gosh, what a difference. So now I can be able to tolerate being in Tucson where I couldn't before. I'd have to go up to the mountains to try to get some relief, and now I can be here. So this is like a great thing to discover. All right, Jeff, talk amongst yourself. What do
Yeah.
you feel about that? I mean, I
Well,
have some other things about that
you
too.
talked about a whole number of very, very interesting things. And I know, excuse me, part of the discussion here has been about antioxidants and free radicals in our brain and being able to function better that way. And some of these drinks that you're proposing here. But here's something that's very interesting. When we look at antioxidants and free radicals, and so what we were taught is that if you eat enough fruits and vegetables, that it's going to take care of that. And so, but what that gives you is a 1-to-1 ratio. One antioxidant will kill one free radical. Well, here's the science of this, that in your brain and your body, at any given moment, you have over 300 septillion free radicals. Now, that's 300 with 27 zeros after it. So, you and I can't eat enough fruits and vegetables to deal with that, you know? And so it's
Really?
important. Yeah, exactly. So it's really important that if our brain and our body are going to function in a normal way, in a natural way, that we have to use these things like turmeric, uh, are ingredients that deal with the antioxidants and the free radicals to bring it back into balance so that you have like a 1,000,000 to 1 ratio, you know,
Right.
which it's not a 1,000,000 to 1 ratio per day, it's a 1,000,000 to 1 ratio per second, you know.
Right.
And
Right.
so it's very important to bring your brain and your body back into balance. And that's one of the ingredients that will help do that.
And that's one of the reasons why I use the oils as well. It's because they're
Right.
so condensed and powerful, much more so than just having, sprinkling on some pepper. And you never cook your pepper, you always have that raw as well. It does shift it. The other thing is, I was cleaning out my cupboards one day. I was having huge, massive amounts of histamine overload and MAST cell activation,
Yeah.
along with a recognition that I had a lack of DAO enzyme in my body. That enzyme, what it does is, when you have a massive amount of histamine in your body, histamine
Yeah.
is important for your body.
Yeah.
It,
Feel itchy.
yeah, but it's really important for your body, for your healing, and for specific help for your body. But if you have too much of an overload, it's devastating. And it felt literally like my teeth were going to shoot out of my mouth. I was in such pain. I just felt absolutely miserable all over my body. I was having huge problems with allergic responses, which is why I'm sharing this information with you, because I cannot take any medication because I used to have, because I don't anymore, because I mitigated it, but I used to have MTHFR. And if you don't know what MTHFR, it's kind of
Sounds like
stands
a
for mother
degree.
effer, okay?
It
It's
sounds
just
like a
that bad.
degree. What college do you go to get the MTFR to get that degree?
Yeah, really. Well, you're born with it. That's what
Yeah.
happens, is you have it because it's a genetic mutation. So look up what MTHFR means and get yourself educated on that, because, wow, it can cause a whole host of huge concerns in your physical body. And you're just kind of like, what just hit me? What is going on? Why am I getting worse? And basically, it shuts down your liver passageways from being able to properly detox. So sometimes you're just with such a humongous toxic overload that you can't function.
Right.
So you reach for things to try to mitigate it with drugs or alcohol or other kinds of things, but it actually makes it so much worse, because medications will be viewed in the body as a poisonous toxin. And so that's why you have lots of side effects and all sorts of things. If you drink any alcohol to try to feel better, to try to self medicate, it destroys your
Right.
glutathione levels, which then you can detoxify, because that's what helps keeps those passageways open. So I was cleaning out my cupboards one day, and I've learned how to mitigate all that. And we'll share all of that with you. We're not going to tease you and hold that back, but not on this particular one. We're talking about these drinks. But I was looking in my cupboards one day to see what is never going to eat again, because I have an issue with grains. And that was one of the reasons why I was dropping my blood pressure and having all these problems. But the divine started teaching me all this, and I started figuring this out and employing what I was being taught. I started to throw out some of the stuff, and it was a package of lentils. And as I started to throw it away, the Lord kind of taps me on the shoulder and says, "Hey, don't throw those away, sprout them instead." I'm like, "Okay, I will." I do whatever they tell me to do, right? So I started sprouting them. I put a quarter of a cup of lentil seeds into a quart of water in a jar. And I put it in darkness and just let it start sprouting. I let it soak for a while, and then I poured it off, and then I would just rinse it daily. And I was headed up to the mountains because I was so messed up. I couldn't even function. And my husband and son were going up there to assist me. I had to have help. I was that bad. And as I was driving along, the Lord told me, pull over, check out what is the value of these sprouts. So I did. I pulled over my phone. I checked out, see what the value of these sprouts were. And literally it said that the stems of the sprouts of these particular sprouts contain DAO enzyme, the very enzyme my body was missing. And I was told if you sprout it in darkness, that enzyme is even more powerful because of the energy it takes to sprout in darkness. It creates more DAO. I'm
Right.
telling you,
Well,
I pulled over.
it also maintains the biophotonic energy. So that's how they understood a lot about biophotonic energy, is by using that method of creating sprouts in the dark. And they found that they were seeing the biophotonic energy when they began to look at it. And so back in the 1930s, we began to understand, some of these things that came about and how we got on that path of biophotonic energy. So you're absolutely right. Your body needs that information and that energy to deal with the creation of your biophotonic energy. So I have some equipment, the GDB equipment, and that's one of the things that we measure. So you put your finger down on the camera lens and it shoots a 10 millivolt charge. So it's so small you can't even feel it. And that causes a discharge of the energy, and then it can translate that into how much biophotonic energy. And that's how we measure your chakras, your energy field, those kinds of issues, and being able to look at the energy and be able to quantify it. So scientifically, we know how important that is.
Bro, you totally rock. I'm so glad that we're connected. I mean,
Yeah.
check it
Well,
out.
if
I
you
mean,
ask me what time it is, I'll tell you how to build a watch. That's me.
no,
Uh,
seriously, this is so cool. I mean, I love our connection with each other because you're getting it from one source that was actually the source from the divine to begin with. I mean, that's how all these amazing scientists have gotten this information. I'm getting it
right.
directly from them. And it's like, it comes together so perfectly. So what I did is I literally opened up that jar and started eating those sprouts right then. And it started lowering down my misery that I was having in my body. And, knowledge is power.
Absolutely. I wrote about all these things that I was telling you in my book, Commanding the Power of Thought, and
Uh-huh.
talking about. So I spent in the first volume of that a lot of time talking about the biophotonic energy. And um, when I was, traveling around the world with Dr. Joe Dispenza and a couple of places, we had Dr. Konstantin Karakov, who had developed the GDB equipment. And so we would have conversations, in the morning. I would say, okay, well, how does this work? And what is that? And he got really tired of my questions because I'd say, okay, you're reporting this in energy of joules, but where's the conversion made? How? So he comes down one morning to breakfast, and he signed a copy of his book, and he says, here, read the
Read it.
damn book. He's really a nice guy. Yeah, he's really a nice guy. So he was only toying with me, but a lot of the answers were in that book for
Yeah.
me to understand the scientific relationship. So there's about 30 years of science and discovery around biophotonic energy, write about it in my book, and had the good fortune to have some great conversations with Konstantin Korotkov and what all of that means. And so here we are taking it to a different level now with, you recognize a need and your body recognized the need for that. And you were getting the information that you needed, you know, I mean, from a scientific point of view, I look at that and say, how amazing is that? That you would get that information and that energy to be able to, take those lentil seeds, get them to sprout, eat them raw, and it's giving you back the very thing your body is needing. I mean, how amazing is that? You know?
Yeah, I feel profoundly blessed, but the fact of the matter is that it doesn't matter how you get the info, is that you get the info and that you activate it and use it. For
Right.
me personally, um, I because I learned about connecting to that divine source as a tiny child, I totally trust in whatever I get, and I absolutely employ it immediately because I know it always brings me goodness. And I don't have time when you're in the middle of a crisis to go and search for the information in a book. But for other people, their way of getting it is to be able to have those books or those people brought to them
Right.
so that they can be able to receive what they're curious about, what they're interested in learning. So it's not about judging how you get it, is that you get it and that you allow yourself to be blessed by it. And there's nobody that is like more important, more of a genius source or less important. We all have that ability to get what it is that we'd like to have. And part of your ability, you viewer that is watching this right now, is you've been asking for some of this information and you're getting it right now. And
Right.
it's going to be information that is correct for you to have and for you to play with and employ in your personal life to be blessed and uplifted by it.
Yeah, and that's why we really don't script any of these things. We just start off with a general idea, like this podcast. I had no idea I was going to tell that story, but it just seemed to fit. And so we get into the flow of this, and that's what
Right,
makes it so fun. And
right,
it's not any special ability that we have. Everybody has this ability, and to develop that within yourself and to live in that environment, in that those frequencies, those vibrations, and that energy, like Einstein and Tesla were trying to teach us, so many years ago, that
right,
it's really important that you take that seriously and understand that it's a real thing.
right.
I
And
see we're just about out of time for this particular episode. I mean, we could sit here and just go on for days. So we invite
and we
everybody
will.
to yeah, invite everybody to tune in, and if you want to be apprised of any of the next podcasts that are coming out, just click that button for subscribing, and we'll be glad to share these. And we look forward to getting with you again. See you later.